Okay, all good. Okay, all good. Welcome. How's everyone feeling today? Good. Thumbs up. Yeah. Good. Good. Hello, hello. All right. So, any questions from yesterday? Just drop them in the chat, or yeah, cameras on or off, just whatever you feel like. Anything that came up yesterday that you want to ask me, or that just kind of landed, or just changed something that you've been doing, just drop in the chat or on mute, whichever you prefer. Okay, I'll give you a minute to think of stuff if anything comes up. And today we're going to talk about the really fun bit for me that I think is the most fun bit, which is how you create certainty that you're going to get. Hi, Coral. Nice to see you. How you create certainty that your clients will get what they want. Sounds good. Oh, that's good. It'd be nice discussing ideas. Oh, good. So yeah, how do you know you're going to get people what they came to buy? Isn't that the question that everyone has, right? I'm going to blow your minds today. It's going to be so much fun. So I'm going to give you a process, because this is the interesting thing about results. We don't know. Like, we don't know what they want. We don't know what they're going to do. We don't know how they're going to show up, and we don't know what actions they're going to take. We cannot know that as a human individual. It's not up to us at all. So that's where everyone gets really messed up on it. And it's like, well, I can't make you do the thing. So I'm not going to come around to your house and like snatch the bag of crisps out of your hand if you told me you want to lose weight and I'm a weight loss person. I mean, you're not going to do that. So how do we then solve that problem? And it's not about the actual things that they do and the things that you create within your offer or your service, because they might not do any of that stuff. And then they might turn around and be like, well, that wasn't worth the money because I didn't get what I wanted. And you're like, yeah, but you didn't send me any pictures, so I couldn't put them on your website. And then you get into arguments and stuff. So instead of looking at it like that, we have to like extract the key principles of how people get the results they want and how do they actually get them. Then you can apply this to yourself. This is what coaching is. This thought work is what coaching is. If you're confused about what coaches do, this is what they do. They give you a step-by-step protocol or process that applies to anything you want. Does that make sense? It could be business, it could be leisure, it could be websites, it could be like literally whatever end goal that you want to create. Is about giving you an actual process. So I've kind of been thinking about, what is that process for me? How do I then lift that out and apply that process so you can use that process for you, for what you want? Because it's not the same as what I want, or your next door neighbor wants, or your kid wants, whatever. It's going to be different things. Okay, so let's get into it. So I've kind of broken it out into like 6 steps. I think it's 6 things, 6 parts of that framework. So number 1, and like take notes by all means. I'll probably put this into the document or something and send it to you, but I haven't. It's just note format at the moment, so maybe take notes. So number 1 is create certainty in yourself. In yourself. Number 2, it's design a process or a procedure for steps that they do and steps that you do. So there's got to be two parts to that. This is my process, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is their process, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 3, they must agree. So you must gain consent for them to do steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of their process. Make sense? there has to be mutual consent that you're going to do your steps, they're going to do their steps. All good? Number 4, you need to map out what you're going to do when they don't, won't, or can't, or forget to do their steps, which they will, in my experience, right? Same applies for kids, whatever you're dealing with, like, oh, they just forgot the process. The shoes go on in the morning. They just forgot today that the shoes go on in the morning. How can I remind them that the shoes go on in the morning? Maybe I put the shoes right by the front door. It's just a process. It can be as easy as that. So you need to work out what you're going to do when that happens. Number 5, remain in agreement with them. Gain consent again, that they still want the end thing, and are they willing to do the step again? Remember, this was the step. Oh, hang on, admit. Kristen, Loretta. Like, you go back and you're like, hey, this is the thing that we agreed. These are the steps. Do you still want to do it? Do you have a question, Prem?
No, sorry, someone said hello.
Oh,
I didn't want to be rude.
Okay, I'm not looking at the messages. So if you do have something that you want to say, just like unmute yourself. It's fine. So yeah. So you remain in agreement. This is the really difficult part, and this is where all the confrontation and conflict comes from and arises, in my experience, from delivering a service or literally delivering a product or literally doing anything in business. You forgot to check in and regain consent, right? So Naresh.
So I'm talking to this client in the US, and for the last 20 days, okay, so they want to do an investment. They want to open a medical care facility. And I had obviously a detailed call around 2 hours with them. And I've been on LinkedIn with them, right? So I send them all my documents, proposal, everything. So they keep telling me that we are reviewing and we'll get back to you. Today also I connected with them.
Okay.
And they said we need more time to review and get back to you.
Okay.
So what should I think about this? Is the client serious? Are they
You don't need to think. This is the beautiful and very simple process. You don't have to think anything at all. You can I'm just gonna let my dog out 1 second. He's scratching at the door. I'll be back in 1 sec. So you don't have to think anything about it. You just have to stick to the process. If you're so you're in the middle of this now, so you can be like, hey, this is what we agreed. Why are we not sticking to that agreement? What's going on? And then you just be very open and curious. You don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to think anything about it. Just wait for them to tell you.
So I asked them last time that, do you need any information? They said we are good.
Of course they're good. They don't need anything else, but you didn't ask them what's going on with them. Like, we agreed this thing. Just tell me yes or literally it's as simple as tell me yes, tell me no. What do you need? Do you need time? Great, have time. You don't need to know why they need time.
Yeah, I don't know why they need time, because it's obviously the proposal is a big investment, for us.
Doesn't make none of that matters at all.
Okay.
So I'm talking about this is with the process-driven thinking instead of emotional-based thinking when it comes to business. Okay. Does that make sense? So it removes all of that worry and anxiety and oh, what if they done this? What if they done this? None of that matters. You don't have to think about it. You just carry on your day and know that you've put the right steps in place and be like, oh, I told them it was by this date. They didn't do it by this date. I'm moving on. It's fine. If they want it, they'll come back.
Yeah, but the lead
Naresh,
process...
I'm going to stop you and then I'm going to go through the process and then I'm going to come back to coaching after, if that's cool with you, just so I can get...
Just one. I mean, how am I going to put them? Am I going to put them as a hot or warm or cold? Where am I going to put them?
I don't know. Just we'll talk about it later. Message me and we can talk more.
Okay.
Okay, but I will answer this question. I just want to get through the process so you guys can all get it. So remain agreed on their want. That's step 5. Like checking in, how's it going? What is happening? This is going to answer your question, I think, Naresh. Like checking in, okay, how's it going? What's happening? Why is this happening? Is the agreement still combined, like mutually there, or is the agreement fallen out? Have you fallen out of agreement, essentially? Because we think that sales is just the thing that happens right at the end. It's the thing that happens from the beginning, is a contract for them to pay attention or money or time to get something that they want. It's not a money contract. It's a mutual human contract. Does that make sense? So when someone falls out of the contract and you worry about it, it's just like, fine, they just didn't want it. They just fell out of the contract for some reason. But what we do is we try and guess. We don't set that very clear thing. So we just try and make it up as we go along and try and be in charge of what they're thinking and feeling. And we're just not. We're never in charge of it. So as soon as you can release that, it makes it so much easier because you don't have to worry about clients and what they're thinking. It's like, it really doesn't matter. So that's step 5, remain in agreement. Just check in, recheck in with your clients for the agreement. And then step 6 is like, great, what am I going to do as a result? So let me give you a kind of a demonstration of this. Actually, does someone have like a real life example that you want to give me that has happened and finished? Like a thing happened and it completed. Like, anyone just give me a thing as like, I was going to buy this thing, or I gave an offer to someone. This is what happened. As simply as that. Like drop in the chat or unmute yourselves and I'll try and walk you through.
So this is something which happened long back, not recently.
Oh, so it's not current.
Yeah.
It's not a current situation.
So
Okay.
it was a B2B
Yeah.
where when I was working for my earlier company, so we used to do trials and we used to sell the machines which make water from air. It's an atmospheric water generator. So we did a lot of trials and initially what happened, our trial machine malfunctioned. So but then on the same day we got a new trial machine put. So that gave the confidence to the client that these guys are really good in customer service. So within a week we got the order.
But so it's a different one than you talked about with the other one that you just told me. You said it was the same one. You said there was
This is different.
it's a different one. Sorry, I'm confused. Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
great. So mapping that back to the process, like creating certainty in yourself, that's the sales bit. Like when you don't have certainty in your offer or the product or the service, when it comes to the end sale, that's when stuff gets really vague and people are like, no, I'll think about it. I need time, etc. And I want you to think of sales as like they're different points. Each point along marketing and sales is a sale. Each like touch point is a sale. You're like, oh, would you like to watch this thing? Sure, that's a sale. Oh, would you like to watch this video? Sure, that's a sale. It's not just the thing of them paying you money. They have to be in agreement all the way through, otherwise they're out. And then when you ask them for money, they're like, I'm out. So it's like you get and it's not asking them to say yes, it's asking them to take action with their feet. That shows they are interested. That shows they are saying yes to that agreement. And when you can do that all the way through, asking them at the end thing of like, well, I've got this thing, do you want it? And they say yes or no. You can just get really curious and be like, oh, I wonder why. So like the confidence and the certainty in yourself, that has to be there through the whole thing, not just the bit when you're like closing somebody, as it were. Yeah, Prem.
I guess it's like when 100 years ago when I used to sell, or when I used to work in retail, one of the steps would be when you're selling clothes, try the coat on.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't want to try it. Be like, great, don't then. Yes, try the coat on, see if you like it. Yes, Tim. Did you have a question?
Unmute helps. So the sales process is not just the actual sale where now they've paid. The sales process right at the beginning, every time that they agree on following one of these stages or steps. Will you watch this video? Yes. Will you go on a sales call? Yes. Those are each sales processes within the data dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. It's like overarching. So when you break it down that way, you can be like, oh, they just fell out of the agreement of the consent to want it at some point.
So would you say it's a good way to start them and saying, there's a 5-stage or 2-stage or 4-stage process that we're going to be going through with you. And then if they fall off on stage 3, you say, remember we spoke about and agreed that there was 6 steps. Would you be happy to continue with step 5?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then get their consent again. And they go, oh,
yeah,
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And when you think of it that way, it's so much easier on yourself because you have actual information instead of trying to guess what happened. And when we go into like, oh, I wonder what happened with that client. I wonder what happened with that client. Like if you don't have a process or a structure, it's completely without, you just don't know. And it makes it very difficult. When you do have a process and a structure, you'll be like, oh, I see what happened. Like they didn't come to step 3. Something was between step 2 and step 3 that they were like, don't want to do that, can't do that, whatever it is. So it's just really useful information more than anything. And then the last step 6, I think, is using it, literally using the information and being like, okay, so now I got this, like I'm going to apply this. So it's the same for your results, same for your client results. So you can use this process for whatever. You can use it for your customer service. You can use it for anything within your business function. It's like, okay, I'm going to apply. We're going to take actions. Now we've got the consent and the agreement. We're going to start applying and taking the action. Then we're going to like refine it. See what happens. We're going to, based on this information, we're going to change something. And then we're going to measure it. We're going to evaluate what's happening. Then we're just going to go again. And if someone's been in agreement the whole way through, they'll be game for that. Because you'll be like, hey, do you remember when so this is post-selling, like post-agreement. My dog wants to come in now. It's like... So if it's post them sending you money and they fall off and they're like, they don't do the thing that you both mutually agreed was going to be the way they get what they want, you just go back to the process and be like, hey, what's happened? Because they agreed. Their agreement was sending you money and saying, I agree. Like checking the box, whatever the box is. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so I have a question. When we do projects, we are bound by agreement that the information cannot be shared with other clients.
Yeah.
But then I have this problem with 2 clients where I'm at a stage where they're kind of getting convinced, but they want a case study, and I am not able to share the case study. So
They
what
want
do
a
I?
case study.
Yeah, of a customer who are a client who has already, we've done the whole project.
Okay.
And they want the whole
Proof.
kind of a document or kind of something like that.
Yeah. What would you be able to give them to show that it's been successful, that would be like identifiable, that would be anonymous?
The name of the company for which we did the project, we can obviously
Can you share that?
Share. We can share the name of the company.
Okay, we'll just share that.
but that's not going to further the confidence. I mean, I'm looking for something more. I'm not able to understand how to solve this problem.
Mhm.
I'm just looking for I'm seeing probably a testimonial will help. That's what we're trying to
Yeah.
get out of our clients.
And have they given you one? Have they agreed to do
No,
a
that's the
testimonial?
problem with these kind of agreements. The client doesn't want to.
Okay.
Yeah,
They don't
so
want to do one. So maybe you could write, like, you could just say from what you're seeing of the results, if it worked, if the client was happy, is the client happy?
yeah, obviously, because we did the project, so they're
Great.
going yeah.
So they're happy.
Yeah.
So then be like, great, I saw that you were really happy with this project. I've written what I see happen. Would you be willing to sign it and put your name of the company on the top? And then don't use any identifiable data or metrics or anything that they're worried about. That could be 3 lines.
So we'll try that.
Yeah, because people just want, if you don't have the certainty of like in yourself, your clients will want to get testimonials and feedback and be like, can I ask your clients? I just want to check with someone else. That's what they're saying. They're saying, sounds great and all, but I need proof. I need social proof. I need peer proof that it's actually going to work. So that's what you need to be thinking of in your brain. It's like, what they need more proof. Why do they need more proof? What can I tell them to give them that feeling of having like reassurance? That's all they want.
Okay.
Okay, makes sense?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so that's the 6 steps. Certainty in self, yourself, designing your procedure. It's not somebody else's procedure. This is really important. And where you may have fallen down before and not got results before, knowing it like this, is you were following someone else's procedure that they have designed. So you're like, oh, how did, I don't know, give an example. How did my next door neighbor lose so much weight and get healthy in a year? Wonder what her procedure was. So you ask your next door neighbor, you're like, you're looking amazing. You lost 2 stone. You look great. You're running around. You have loads of energy. You look really happy. What did you do? And she goes, well, and then she tells you her procedure and you're like, okay, this sounds awesome. Then you try and apply her procedure. It doesn't work. You're like, oh, well, that doesn't work. Losing weight sucks. I can't do this. It's because it was never your procedure. It was hers. It's what worked for her. And this is where like the business coaching thing gets really sticky and weird, because it's like all procedures work. It's just choosing what works for you and your clients and then testing it. It's the only way that you can ever get the result. And that, for that to like land in your brain and in what you do, it forces you and requires you to be open to experimentation and not like holding onto what you decided before was going to be the plan or the plan for your clients. You just have to let it all go. Because that's creating the results for the future, is what you're doing today, literally. So this is where we get it all flipped around. We're sitting here 6 months in from our business or 5 years in from our business being like, I wonder why this isn't working. It's like, you were just basing it on a procedure that worked 5 years ago or 6 months ago or a week ago. And you've changed, or something's changed, or your client's changed. You just didn't update the procedure or the process. And it's the same is true for anything that you want in your life. It's like, okay, this all worked like 5 weeks ago, but now I feel differently and I want something different. So what's the procedure for that? So if it makes it easier to understand, it's like, think of computers. I am not a computer scientist. I know nothing about the inner workings of computers, but I'm guessing that they have this like inbuilt, like this is how we process stuff. You get the information in and then it goes here and then this thing happens and whatever. And sometimes they break and they get bugs and they like, it messes up. And they change the procedure. They're like, oh, I see what's happening. This little thing needed a click of a button. And we're exactly the same as human beings, but we're stuck in our old process. We're stuck in our old thought and feeling and emotion process that worked last year. This is making sense. But if you want something new and different, like £10,000 in a week, let's just play. If you want £10,000 this week, you're like, oh, what's the procedure for that? That's my result. £10,000. Or, I don't know, buy a new dog. Or whatever the thing is. Okay, let's map it back. Let's use this framework and let's see if that works. You just like mess around with it. And the same is true with your client results. It's like, okay, somebody really, really wants this thing. They really want to feel purposeful and, you know, great about their life, or they really want an amazing website, or whatever it is that your clients come to you for. You just need to do the work of actually like writing this stuff out and thinking about it like this. So you can literally give it to them on a platter and be like, ta-da, here you go. And they'll be absolutely delighted. And then when they're not, when they do something and it's like off the plan, off the map, you just like bring them back on. You're like, hi, remember we said, just come back on. What's going on? And then they can keep taking the steps. But they can't do that if you don't have the certainty. But it's weird because we think certainty comes from physical results. Oh, I have to feel this. I have to have made £1,000 tomorrow to feel certain to sell to other people. And it doesn't come from that. So the question is for you, how you create this for yourself is like, how do you create certainty for yourself? Like, how do you know that anything happens in life? Like, how do you know it? What do you know that for a fact is going to happen tomorrow? Anyone just like shout out or put in the chat. Can't see the, is anyone? What's going to happen for certain tomorrow? It's not a trick question, I promise. Generally, yeah. Son's going to school, work, the sun's going to come up. I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to wake up out of my bed at some point. What else do you feel certain is going to happen tomorrow? I'll be tired. And what else? Any other certainties? It's like, then you just get to be like, great, why am I certain that tomorrow I'll be tired? Well, I've had a busy day. Yeah, I'll probably be tired. The sun's going to come up. I'm going to go to work. I'll be hungry. It's a very strong likelihood that if you haven't eaten, you'll be hungry for sure. The news will be negative or biased. Yes, that's probably true. So anything that makes you feel like, what makes you feel like that you don't have to, it's almost like you don't have to put any mental attention on it because it's just going to happen. It's like, oh, it's going to, like, tomorrow will come, the sun will rise. I don't have to worry about the sun rising. And I'm not going to go into like some existential crisis about the sun not rising and worry about it because it just will. Yeah. So certainty. And what has created that certainty in us is that it happens every day. Like clockwork, it's like day in, day out, sun will rise, I'll get up, I'll do these things, I might get hungry at some point. You know, we've created that certainty because it's what we are seeing and feeling and doing every single day. Yeah. So instead of being like, how do I get certain? What do I need to have to be certain something's going to happen. It's just a really different question. It's just like, oh, I see how it works. It's just what I do and see and think and feel and hear and literally physically do every day that gives me certainty. It's what I'm looking at. It's what I'm listening to. It's who I'm speaking to. It's where I go. It's what I'm thinking in my head every day. It's my like daily kind of backdrop music of my day. That's what creates certainty, because I just do it over and over and over again. So if you want to change like yourself or anything outside of you, you just have to change the background music. Listen to different things, be around different people, look at different things, do different things. It's literally just, it creates everything. Not to get too like meta on you, but it really is as simple as that. If you're looking at your email every single day and everything you read is terrible about the world and it causes you to feel a terrible thing about something or yourself, it's this cycle that just is really hard to break. And it's filling your brain with stuff you don't need to think about, you don't need to worry about. So if my husband ever goes like, God, do you see the news about the Prime Minister? I'm like, who's the Prime Minister? I literally don't care. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I can't even remember. They seem to change every 5 minutes. It's not something I follow. I cannot be asked. He thinks that I'm ill-informed. I'm like, yeah, well, if that's your concern, and that's so interesting because we're all different, we're all humans individually. If that is your concern, if you're in politics, of course it's your concern. You'd be reading it every day because it's the thing that you care about. It's literally none of my concern in the nicest possible way. I don't really care. Literally just lost track. I lost interest very quickly. So what is in your concern? Just the stuff that you want. Surely it's just like, I'm not concerned with this, or I am really concerned with this because I really deeply care about this thing over here. So when you focus on that, like everything that you are in charge of and the things that you care about, I think it's a double thing. I think it's the things that I can control, and it's also the things that I care about and love. That's it. It's really, really easy. What can you control? What do you care about? What matters to you? What's of importance in your life? And then bring those things together. And when you do that, it's very simple. Everything becomes much easier. Your wheels can start turning. Your brain starts turning, and it's like, oh, right, okay, this is the path. Fine, super easy. And when someone comes up to you, they're like, oh, hey, can you come and join my thing? You'll be like, really sorry, don't have time for that. And they're like, oh, that was rude. It's just because it's not your thing. But it does require a really strong, it requires a really strong stance, I would say. Not in any negative way, not in any like unloving way, not in any confrontational way at all. Just in a very like open, like, cool, that's your thing, this is mine. No worries. You go do you. And if people choose to feel really insulted and angry with you, it's none of your concern. It's just it's nothing to do with you, which is really, really hard because humans love to be just like in the gang. And when someone doesn't like you or says something that makes you feel outside the gang, you get really stressed out. For example, I don't really like going to kids' birthday parties. I find it horrendous. The reason I find it horrendous is I have to stand around in a room with people I don't know, talking about stuff I don't know about, and I feel really deeply awkward and weird about it. It's not the party that is unenjoyable. It's what I'm thinking about, what's going on for me when I go to the party. So for that reason, when people are like, do you want to come to a kids' party with 50 kids in a massive play area with all the mums there? I'm like, oh, I really don't. And people might think I'm weird and like, oh, she's so antisocial. God, she's so antisocial. Like, yeah, I am deeply. So you just get to choose. Like, if you don't like something in your business or the way that you feel when you're doing something in your business, it's not a reason not to do it. It's a reason to ask who wants to go to a kids' party. Some people really like them, I'm sure. It depends who it is, and like if you love the person and and it's fun for you. That's the thing, you'll know instantly when the person asks you. You'll be like, maybe not. So yeah, I can't remember what I was just saying. Oh yeah, so if there's something in your business that you really don't want to do, just be very curious with yourself. Be like, I wonder why I don't want to do that. That's fascinating. It's not like I should want to do something. I should want to do this. Everyone says I have to network. I hate networking. I don't want to do it. Like, if that, ask yourself why instead of thinking you have to do it. It's like, why do I feel or whatever comes up when I'm in this room, or when I'm talking to these people, or when I'm doing a certain thing in my business? Because it's not wrong or right. It's literally your response to it that's making you feel really not like you don't want to do it. And you can train yourself to change your responses. If you want, you can train your brain to change your responses. That's much deeper work. That's all getting into the proper, life, deep purpose work of like changing yourself. Or you can just choose not to do the task. You can just choose not to go to the meeting, to do other things. But each thing that you do decide to do is either giving you a tick towards what you said you were going to do, or it's giving you like Simon Cowell pressing the red button on what's it called? Pop Idol or something. It's like the big button in your brain. So the more like yeses you get from yourself, like, yes, this is the thing I said. Remember, this is the thing we said we were going to do. We agreed without, like, me agreed that we were going to do this thing. And every time you do something towards that thing, your brain loves it. Your brain is like, yay. And it builds that trust, and it builds, so it becomes much, much easier because you're like in integrity with yourself. You're not fighting yourself to force yourself to do something you don't want to do, essentially. So anything that feels like that for a reason, just get very curious with yourself. Be like, I wonder why. It's a really good question. I wonder why I don't want to do blah-de-blah thing. And then you just get to like answer that question. Be like, oh, that's fascinating. I wonder why that is. So I'll give you an example for me with money. That was a huge block I had to release from. I wonder why I don't want to open my bills. You don't have that? Because it will show me how much money I've got to pay them. I don't want to see it. I wonder why, like, I'm leaving all those bills like shoved under a thing with a thing on top, so I have to look at them because it stresses me out. But there's a reason it's stressing you out. It's causing a stress, literally a stress response in your body, because you're thinking a negative judgment on yourself. Every time you look at that bill, every time you look at that thing you didn't do, that you said you were going to at some point and you didn't do it, it creates this kind of minor stress response in your body. Can be as easy as like, I don't know, taking out the bins. Oh, I've got to take out the bins. I was going to do it yesterday. Maybe I just asked my husband to do it. Oh, then he didn't do it. Then it becomes this whole thing about like taking out the bins. You could just literally take the bin out. Or you could spend a long time looking at the bin and being like, every time you walk past it, you feel bad because you didn't do it. So these little things really add up in our lives. They really add up in our businesses. So what thing do you not want to do in your business? What causes you like a stress response in your business? Hang on, I can't get to the chat for some reason. Okay. Any questions? Anything coming up? Yes, Naresh.
The most painful is waiting, because none of my clients are saying no. So I have like 5 clients
Yes.
who were serious, and they're all like 15 days back, and I've not got any kind of response. We are reviewing, we'll get back to you.
Mm-hmm.
So the wait
So the
is
waiting, the
wait.
impatience. So then you just get to say, like, why do I want them to do it by this date? What's the feeling like? Because waiting is not a feeling. Waiting is just sitting around. You could just wait on a beach and you'd probably feel better. But what are you thinking about the waiting, about the time?
Are they going ahead or not? So that's what is stressing me, obviously.
Yeah, of course. But you don't need to, like, whatever. Why does it matter if they do or they don't?
So I have to look for more,
Yes.
more leads. Yeah.
So just look for more now.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Instead of allowing yourself to remain in like a stress cycle of waiting and then feeling terrible and then worrying, just go find some more clients now so you don't feel that. Yeah, because their timeline has nothing to do with you. It literally means nothing about your business or your offer or your worth or the value of your offer. It doesn't mean any of those things. It just means something to do with their timeline. If you've sold it well, if you've sold it like into them, if that makes sense, and then just release the timeline completely. Just be like, they want it, they'll come back at some point, maybe.
Sure.
Yeah. So pricing up a job for a poor value client. Okay, so you don't want to do it. Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that either. Why are they a poor value client?
Because I think I kind of set a precedent. So I undervalue my work. I've done that. So then I've built that relationship where they have the expectations of further cheaper prices.
Okay.
And also hence why I'm here, really, I think.
Yeah. So
and it gets
why
tight.
just raise your price then and see what happens. Just raise it to what you want to charge. What do you think would be out of their budget?
I don't know. I guess it varies from client to client, but I'm happy to raise prices.
No, but this specific client, the person that you know, what do you think would be outside of their budget? What would be a price too high that they'd be like, no, that's out of my budget?
Okay, so I would say, so this particular client, I do hourly rates.
Yeah.
And I would say £80 an hour would be out of their budget.
Great. So just price it out of their budget. So what would that be in total, do you think?
For the number of hours?
Yeah.
I would say they would ask for, they would need about 3 or 4 hours work, 5 hours work.
Yeah, so how much? So hourly times 5. Why don't you just charge them 500 quid and see what they say? And if they say no, great, move on to the next person.
Yeah, I mean, off the back of these last couple of meetings that we've had with yourself, this workshop, the kind of discussions I've had with others in this group is just spending less of my time with these people are just dragging me down.
Don't let them. And the reason, like the only reason that happens is that we're still in it. We're still in that cycle with them. And there's like no shame or blame in this
100%,
game.
100%.
It's just like you can't effectively sell from that feeling, if that makes sense.
110%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're like, you've got to raise your own inner game, Nothing to do with externals, nothing to do with how much money you're making or have made or will make, doesn't make any difference. You raise your inner game to be like, I'm choosing to be really selective and careful and curate where I'm spending my time and the conversations I'm having, so that this feels very out of alignment when someone, I'll just be like, no, that my price is £1,000 or nothing. That's who I work with. They're like, oh, okay, I see where they are positioned in the market. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so struggling with time and to meet any requirements. What does any requirements mean? Linda? Oh, sorry.
I meant just when it comes to a contract or something,
Mhm.
because sometimes people are just want the impossible, and we are trying to get them the best results, I guess.
Yeah. So they
But
have
it's complicated.
demand.
Yeah.
So they come back with like an additional requirement, an additional
Yeah.
demand. Yeah. And so what do you feel when they do that? So if someone says something ridiculous like, oh, I want it tomorrow and I want 10 revisions for no extra money, or whatever it is that they're doing, like, how do you feel?
Well, everything is like negotiable, but sometimes they don't realize how much work has supposed to be done, like for next 24 hours, for example, and it's just gonna need more time. And when it comes to developing stuff, I don't know, in the background, so it's complicated. Like, yeah, and they don't understand what it
Yeah.
takes.
Yeah. So what would it take for you to just say that? Be like, okay, that's a lot of extra time and effort. So it will be an extra whatever. If you want to charge extra, what would you have to be thinking and like feeling just to say that, do you think?
Well, I don't have any problem with that, to just say it
okay.
out loud. And it's just sometimes too sensitive to share this information with the client, and just somehow to convince them that this part can be done, but it needs
Yeah.
to be done, this one as well. Yeah.
Yeah. But why, like, so this is that, so applying that whole process right from the very beginning. It's the consent to agreement on the plan. That's that, like literally that step, whatever it is. Step 3 or whatever. It's like, you figured out the plan, you guys agreed the map, then they went off track. They were like, oh, I've changed my mind now. The map looks different. And you were like, hold up, reverse. We agreed on the map, and now something different's happened. So now going forwards, you can be like, okay, what is my protocol for when someone goes off the map? They veer off of the direction. You're like, oh, hold up, that's going to be different. That's not the map we agreed to, but do you want to create a new map? Do you want to like have an extra thing? You just get to decide. What's happening is that when we like get the points of like agreement and mutual agreement all the way along, then someone falls out of it at any stage. That's when all the conflicts come, because it's like, oh, but they said this and they said this and me. And it gets really annoying and really damaging in profitability for a business. Because the proper, like having a healthy business that retains money, you have to have a very healthy and strong agreement process. And then when someone falls out of it, you have a step-by-step thing of what happens when you fall out of the agreement. It's business, right? It's not your family. It's not your personal stuff. So you just get to decide, what are the business rules? Rules, you set the rules. They are literally rules. Like, I want you to be bossy and like in charge and be like, no, these are my rules. You just didn't follow the rules. So this is what's gonna happen. Sorry. It's just literally.
Well, I don't have a problem to be boss. I don't have a problem to be bossy.
Amazing. You need to be like in your full like power and authoritative state to set those rules and hold them. And you can also give yourself permission to change them on a case-by-case basis. It doesn't have to be one way or the other. You just get to make that decision. So you just get to do like, okay, great. What should we do now with the client? Where do you want to take it from here? But it's not worth like feeling resentful or getting yourself stuck in any way. And the more you do that for them, the more they will really love it as well, because they know exactly where they are in your process. And it helps them feel really relaxed and reassured too. From the beginning as well. Because so basically that's all answering all of their objections ahead of ever working with you. Because their questions are going to be exactly this. What if it changes? What if I don't like it anymore? What if it doesn't work? What if you give me something I don't like? That's all objections, right? Essentially. So if you just answer them all up front, you've just removed them all up front. Then they'll be like, okay, cool. We'll pay some money then. Okay. So we have 5 minutes. Is this all making sense? Yeah, good. So what shall we do now? What was I going to say? Back up. Protocol. So yeah, I think that was it. So tomorrow is we're going to talk a little bit about selling, the actual, like how you sell, what to say on the actual closing part of the sale and how to think about it. And I would really love, you're so welcome. Thank you, Naresh. I would really love for you to think very carefully and very consideredly, if that's a word, about the people that you want to help and what is the vehicle, because in business, it's literally just like a vehicle. It's just the way, it's just the how, essentially. What is the vehicle that's going to deliver that the fastest to them? So those are the two things to really think about. So your client that is for you at this level, right? I'm not talking about the client that was right for you last week or last year or last month. At this level of money, and it has to be attached to money because that's how we measure value in the world, and that's how your clients measure value in the world. So it has to be attached to money. So what level money is your goal as a business? Because you have a business, you have to have a money goal, because that's how the success is measured. So your thoughts and feelings about money just don't have anything to do with it. It's about the delivery of value to your client. So what's the money goal? 10 billion, 1 billion, 5 million, 5p, literally doesn't matter what the numbers are. Total goal for this year, let's just keep it to a 12-month thing. Annual turnover goal. Who's my favorite client who I love to help? And what's the best vehicle I can put them in or provide to them to get them what they want the most? So that's the like step by step essentially of your offer, because we can't create an offer if we don't know those things. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. Any questions? Any final thoughts? Any how about this? How about that? How does this apply? Yes. Yeah, of course, you can book a one-to-one with me. We can have a chat and you can ask me all of the questions if you don't want to share. Okay, amazing. Perfect. What I might do is then just send me a message on what's the easiest thing? just send me a message on LinkedIn or wherever we connected. And I'll, oh yeah, okay, I'll put my email here. That's a good idea. Yeah, just email me and we can set up a time and you can just ask me how this relates to your business. Okay, good. All right. Have a fantastic day and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye. See you later. Bye.